So the very final steps of cellular respiration. We're going to finish up cellular respiration today, and we're going to learn about aerobic and anaerobic types of respiration. The chemical reaction that takes place inside of the mitochondria, and we know cellular respiration, since it happens inside of the mitochondria and it is cellular respiration, it requires oxygen. The total generation of ATP is 36 are made. This stage of cellular respiration is highly efficient and it must include oxygen. But what happens when there's no oxygen or very little oxygen available? Well, a different set of chemical reactions must occur. This reaction is called fermentation. Fermentation is the incomplete breakdown of organic compounds, like glucose, in the absence of oxygen. So in some organisms, such as yeast, fermentation causes glucose, a type of carbohydrate, to be broken down into carbon dioxide and ethyl alcohol. This is also known as ethanol, which is the alcohol in the beer and wine industry. In other organisms, such as bacteria and muscle cells of animals, fermentation causes glucose to be converted to lactic acid. Under the right conditions, the lactic acid formed by bacterial fermentation of milk produces foods such as yogurt and cheese. And this is just a table showing you that glucose breaks down to pyruvate, and then the different types of bacteria that are created, and of course, what formation occurs. Now back to lactic acid. So why do your muscles get sore? Well, lactic acid forms in your muscles when they are forced to operate without enough oxygen, like when you're doing vigorous exercise. So when you're sprinting, if you go to the gym and do a heavy workout, what's going to happen? Your muscles are going to feel tired, feel sore, and that is because of the lactic acid buildup. Lactic acid cannot be removed quickly enough, so it builds up in your muscles, and that's what creates your muscles feeling tired or sore. Fermentation is also known as anaerobic respiration because it does not require oxygen. So it's really important to remember that fermentation releases no more ATP. The energy that remains in the chemical bonds of alcohol and lactic acid is not used by the organism. So here are the two chemical equations for lactic acid and alcohol fermentation. Notice there is no oxygen present in our reactants of the equation. Only 2 ATP are produced, but remember the organism does not use those ATP. So anaerobic respiration breaks down glucose without oxygen, and meaning no or without. Which chemical reactions occur during anaerobic respiration? That's going to be glycolysis and fermentation. This is going to be very inefficient, so little ATP is actually made. And remember, that ATP is not used by the organism. So aerobic respiration breaks down glucose with oxygen. Think air, you're breathing in air. Which chemical reactions occur during aerobic respiration? Glycolysis, again, so that's anaerobic and aerobic, and oxidative respiration. Think oxygen, oxidative. This is very efficient. Lots of ATP are made. So the first stage, stage 1, does not require oxygen. Remember, glycolysis can occur with or without oxygen. So glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm, and it generates 2 ATP. Stage 2 requires oxygen, and that's oxidative respiration. Remember, oxygen, oxidative, and that occurs in the mitochondria. 34 ATP are generated. Therefore, your total ATP are going to be 36. Now you're going to have a test yourself. You can go ahead and pause the video and answer the questions. We will go over them in class.